Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back, and first of all, Merry Christmas to all of those of you who celebrate. So in my country we are celebrating it on the 24th, but I do know that in most places it's the 25th, and I think this video is gonna probably go live either on Wednesday or on a Thursday. So as I said, Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate, and for those of you who just don't celebrate Christmas for one reason or another, I'm just happy that you're here watching the video. So we are gonna be going through the makeup releases that have been announced lately. I'm sorry I did skip last week's video because due to the Christmas preparation my schedule has been just so hectic, even though now I'm officially on a couple of weeks holiday, which is nice, but there's been just so much going on. So what I did is that I prioritized my declutter video, and after this one I am going to be filming my sort of yearly end of the year eyeshadow palette ranking, and that should be going live on my channel by the end of this week. And I'm exceptionally filming this on Tuesday. I usually filming on Sundays, however during Sunday I had a lot to do, so that's why I wasn't able to film this earlier, which is maybe kind of good because now at least I think the makeup news should be quite recent, since I am going to be editing this on the same day and updating this either on Wednesday or on Thursday. Anyway, about the launches, because we had a bit of a gap, there is quite a few things to go through. There is a lot of luxury spring releases in this one, so just FYI, that is most of what this video is going to be about. There are also some very, how should I say, there was one holiday release which I'm a bit 50-60 about how I'm feeling about this, especially considering the timing of the launch, because it's so late. Basically, the brand launch is so late that no one is able to get it on Christmas time due to shipping schedules, but also kinda because it is sort of a relaunch of a very popular palette release that was done a couple of years ago. But anyway, let's start talking about the launches because there is quite a few things to go through. So let's start going through the launches, and first of all, this is what I would say a collaboration. So this is by NABLA and MRDANIEL. I'm a bit unsure how you're supposed to pronounce that name, and this is basically a capsule collection of lipsticks and lip liners. And I do have to say, what I do appreciate in terms of NABLA's releases is that I do think they are pretty thought out and they don't come out with releases back to back. I do know that NABLA isn't necessarily the most hype brand if you sort of just get your makeup information on social media, which I do think is the place that most people get their makeup recommendation on these days. But I can appreciate that they are doing maybe these more considered launches. These are pretty brown leaning shades, so I do think that for some people these probably are not gonna be their cup of tea. I think, for example, for me these are all a bit too brownish, like brownish leaning for my lipstick preferences, but NABLA's quality in general is pretty good. I have tried a few of their products, and if you are kind of interested in these like brown toned lipsticks, maybe this could be a collection to look into. Then something from GlamShop, and I think this was their last launch of this year, so this is their, what was this actually called? Haunt Me palette, and aside with the palette there were also some of their like new lip oils and also lip liners. This was on Monolith Shop's December launch, however this was on pre-order. I'm a bit unsure because this was on pre-order that were they able to ship this to those who order it immediately on their sort of like December launch, that were they able to ship this before the Christmas, or is this something that they are gonna be able to ship after the holiday season? I do have to say, this is probably now the most neutral palette GlamShop has in their collection, so if you just kind of like cover the red tones in this palette, you are kind of having this pretty like cool toned leaning neutral palette. I didn't shop on Monolith Shop's December launch because purely for the fact that during holidays I like to usually buy stuff for other people's as gifts, so December usually is not a month that I spend that a lot of money on makeup. And also I did have the Glosscott's advent calendar, which there has been an ongoing short series on my channel and also on my Instagram where I sort of like unbox every day separately. So there's also the fact that I have gotten obviously makeup from the advent calendar, so that's also another reason why I wasn't so interested in shopping the Monolith launch. This is a palette because it is kind of this like cool toned neutral palette. I could be interested to try this out, but I will have to see once January and February come, am I still like feeling it that I want to get this one. But this goes to like maybe pile of indie launches that I'm kind of interested in, but I think if you've been looking especially for a cool tone leaning neutral palette and you can kind of get over the red shades from GlamShop, I think this would be a good palette to look into. This has been spotted in Germany, so L'Oreal is releasing some new powders. I think these are belong to the Infallible line. What is this promising to do? Okay, the promotion text are in German, so that is a bit difficult since I don't speak the language. It seems to be like a loose powder. Is this like more of a... It's more of a pigmented powder. I think that's something that I'm a bit curious about. What is the cap saying? Power Glow loose powder in mesh. Okay, so since it's the name is Power Glow, I would probably assume it is a bit of a more of a glowy powder rather than mattifying one. Bit interesting because it was also spotted in German drugstores. I did feature the Infallible like cushion foundation. That was, I think, the previous video from this one. So it is interesting that L'Oreal is now expanding the Infallible line, because the Infallible line from L'Oreal is known to be one of the more like full coverage lines in terms of their complexion products. So it's interesting to see that is this maybe now a trend that we are maybe moving during 2026, that are we like moving towards again to a full coverage makeup, since I think this more sort of like what I would say light coverage makeup has been in trend right now. So a bit interested to see, is this like maybe a sign of a trend that full coverage foundation and powders are coming back. Then a release that I have to say that Too Faced is very late on this trend. So Too Faced has released their own variation of this sort of Charlotte Tilbury glowy liquid highlighter. So this is the Born This Way Super Glow Multi-Use Highlighting Skin Enhancer. I think by this point we have gotten so many like other high-end brands have duped this. There's been like plenty of drugstore dupes, some are better than others. So for me, I would have to say that Too Faced is just a bit late in terms of the fact that we have now gotten so many iterations of this particular product. Also, Too Faced is a more expensive brand, so I do think there's quite a lot of also drugstore alternatives if you don't want to buy the original Charlotte Tilbury one. But I think I haven't yet seen this on. I haven't seen this yet on our Too Faced retailers, but I assume it's probably going to be coming soon. First of the luxury spring releases, so Chantecaille's spring collection is here. As always, the packaging is 10 out of 10 in terms of what is inside compared to how much these cost. Not maybe worth the money. We are getting 4 new of their, I'd say these are more glowy lipsticks, and then we got 2 like eyeshadow trios. Especially for me, what is very difficult with the Chantecaille eyeshadows is that even for a luxury brand, you're getting only 3 shades, when most of the time we are at least getting a quad or even a quint, like in case of Dior, which we are going to be talking about a bit later in this video. But you're only getting 3 shades, and even then the Chantecaille's price is pretty high when you compare it to other like similar luxury brands. I do get it, the packaging is very beautiful. I do like the Flamingo green tint packaging this has, but for me it's just, I think, too much money for the amount of product you're getting, even if the packaging is pretty. Bobbi Brown is coming out with a lot of lip products. So there is, I think these are Bobbi Brown extra blushing lip oils, and then there are tinted lip balms. So we are maybe continuing with this more sheer lip trend that we have maybe seen during the past year. I do think like these look nice. They are a bit more, I would say, spring-esque shades, but considering that Bobbi Brown is again one of the, it's not the most expensive of high-end brands, but it is, I just don't think these like maybe stand out in terms of the fact that we have gotten so many glowier lip products during the last year or so. 2 releases from Urban Decay. So we are getting a new mascara. So this is called the Tube Job Tubing Mascara. I thought Too Faced had the monopoly on Too Faced and NARS had the monopoly on questionable product names, but apparently Urban Decay is also like hopping into the trend. I have to say something interesting about this one. We do have quite interesting color choices. Obviously there is like a black variation of this one, and then we get 2 different brown mascaras, which I do think the browns are looking a bit similar to be in a same product line. But then we do have this kind of nice like almost burnish red color and a blonde mascara, which I think the blonde mascara shade, I don't think we have seen that many brands coming out with this kind of shade. So yeah, this seems to have a plastic bristle, so not my absolute favorite, but a lot of the tubing mascaras that at least I've tried seem to have the plastic bristles instead of the traditional ones. This is probably going to be coming soon to Urban Decay retailers. However, if you live in mainland Europe, this, depending on your country, at least in my country again, we have just very small Urban Decay like stands that only basically have their palette and the setting spray. So I'm a bit curious that is this going to be another of those launches, that is it going to come to our shelves because shelf space is limited, or is it going to just be available, for example, online? Another Urban Decay release, so they are coming out with liquid stick retractable liners, so these are basically eyeliners. Some of the metallic ones seem to be more like fun in terms of the color stories, but even this, but if someone's by the way wondering my makeup, I don't usually wear this kind of eye makeup eye makeup that has, I basically got a sort of water activated line of the Gloss Gods advent calendar, and I decided that because I will be reviewing all the content of the advent calendar, so I tried today first time water activated liners. I'm not usually a liner kind of girl, even though based on my eye look today it might seem so, but we're having a bit of an exceptional day. But I'm usually not a eyeliner type of person, so this is a skip for me, but if you've been looking for new eyeliners from Urban Decay, this could be again something to look into. Lancôme is hopping into the trend of individual shadows, so these are the Idôle Goddess Dimension eyeshadows. I was initially thinking that all these sort of like special shade shimmer shadows, but actually a lot of these also seem to be matte shades. For Lancôme, I do think this is a bit different, and I wonder are we now finally at the point that also like a lot of these traditional luxury high-end brands are kind of looking into like doing these more like dimensional shimmer shadows. Obviously probably still not anything that we see from indie, but maybe kind of something not like similar, but something like their variation of it. But as I said, there seems to be also matte shades in this one. These are probably going to be pretty pricey, $26 each, so in European stores it's either exactly the same amount in euros or a bit maybe higher. I think this is pretty much a preference thing. I do think that if you especially are into Lancôme eyeshadows, maybe look into like calculate that is it more worth buying a single shade, or should you buy I think they are quints, because I think their eyeshadow palettes have 5 shades. So this I think is one of those products you have to calculate pretty carefully that is it like worth it. But if you are a person who just uses one single shadow every day, then this could be a very nice product to look into. Okay, then we're going into Dior, and these are spring releases. However, these have been only featured in Asian websites, so unfortunately I don't think I have collection names to you yet. First one is this one, and I think this is probably going to be an Asia exclusive just based on the shades in this one. So there seems to be a new quint, which is this sort of like, it has a pop of orange in the middle, but otherwise it's a pretty pale pinkly lilac leaning quint, and then there is a very pale looking is it a peach blush, and then one of their like lip glosses. Yeah, I think just based on the shades, I think this might be the Asian exclusive that probably is never gonna make it to the European market. For me, in terms of Dior, this is I think pretty similar to what we have seen from their other spring collections, so this isn't anything particularly new. Then I think the main spring collection, I think this is the one that we are gonna see globally on different retailers. Again, this I think is from a Japanese account, so unfortunately I can't speak. I can't like understand Japanese, so I don't know the name of this one yet. But I think this, as I said, is probably the one that's gonna come to the like other retailers. I do have to say the highlighter is looking kind of. I'm talking about the liquid glow maximizer highlighter that I did try. We did see that on my sort of, I reviewed the holiday version of this one this year and I had kind of mixed opinion about it, but this one is looking quite funky because it seems to be this grey, almost like this grey minty leaning iridescent highlighter, and I do kind of think that even though I had some question marks about the holiday variation of the highlighter, I still thought it was quite different from what we usually see from luxury brands. So I think in terms of the fact Dior is onto something. There is actually English names in this one. Dior for Glow Maximizer. Oh yeah, but there's still not a shade name of it. What's the shade name is gonna be. But yeah, the liquid highlighter is looking kind of cool. In terms of the other products, the quads, there is like quints. One of them is a more berry leaning quint that has a pop of silver, and then there is a neutral one that has a bit of green in it. Then I think we're getting one powder highlighter, and then we're getting some of their lip oils and these like Glow Your Lip Balm kind of products. Yeah, so I think we are gonna say skip for this one, except for the liquid highlighter shade, which is kind of because this isn't my favorite liquid highlighter formula ever. I did discuss it when I reviewed first time the pink shade that is in their main line, but Dior is doing something a bit different for luxury brands, so we shall be keeping our eye open for this one, and especially like seeing what kind of pricing this is gonna be. Then let's go to Natasha Denona. I had to like blink 10 times to like make the consideration that are there like is this some kind of joke, because this looks too similar to what they already have. So Natasha Denona has extended her like mini eye sculpt palette range, and I do understand that I think the original one, even though it was kind of blah for me, but I understand that it actually was quite popular release. Quite a lot of people said that the small mini in the eye sculpt range, the original one, it's been very convenient to travel or to sort of being as a filler palette when you need a, for example, a basic brown deepening up shade or something to lighten up your look. But so, because obviously I think the first palette was pretty popular, it is, like, I understand that she wanted to come out with an extension, but I'm just saying the cool toned variation looks too similar to the neutral toned one. So, yeah, I think if she would have like really wanted to advertise this, I do think it seems, at least based on the image that this has been on, when this has been used on models, I can say that this does look quite cool leaning to be a, like, because I know some people always say that, okay, but is this actually cool tone enough to be a cool tone? I do think this is cool tone leaning enough, but I do still think it's a bit similar if you put this side by side with the original eye sculpt palette. For me, this is a skip, because I don't need this kind of like mini all matte palettes, but yeah, I just think that maybe we should have gone maybe a bit more different with this one, because I do think this is looking too similar to the original launch. More luxury releases. So Chanel's also spring collection is here, and again, I'm sorry, I don't yet have the, like, what is the collection name gonna be called in English. I think the standout item for me in this one is the big blush palette. The last year spring blush palette, because it was a peachy orangey toned one, I wasn't such a, I did say that I skip it, but with this one, because it is a pinky leaning one, I am kind of eyeing. These are pretty expensive usually. I think these are go to like close to maybe 100 euros, which is that's pretty pricey. However, if you break this down per shade compared to if you would buy an individual Chanel blush, these actually, my advice with the Chanel blush is that if you want to buy their like powder blushes, then waiting for these kind of palettes would actually be a pretty good deal, because actually the price for this palette per shade is cheaper than if you would buy the 4 shades individually from Chanel's like powder blush range. So, but these are, it doesn't still like erase the fact that this is expensive. Aside from the blush palette, we are getting plenty of lip products. There's also going to be 2 new eyeshadow quads. The quads are a bit more, what I would say, muted in terms of color tone. But for me, these, I'd say, aside from the like big cheek palette, there isn't anything that interesting in this collection. But this is probably again going to be making to Western markets during springtime, but it can probably is going to take a while before we're going to see this on the like Western stores. GlamShop has released another collection. So they just launched their holiday collection, and GlamShop usually has been pretty late launching their holiday collection, but I'm a bit surprised that we did get another new collection so close to the holiday one. And this is a tarot inspired collection. So there's 2 eyeshadow palettes in this one, and then we have some liquid eyeliners. I do think the eyeshadow palettes, even though I do kind of like the palette design, but the insides of the palettes are a bit basic. I do think we have seen this sort of like neutral leaning one and a berry toned leaning one palette from them previously. These are 6 pans. I don't think 6 pan is a format that they have done that often in the past, because they usually do 9 pans, then they have like these quads, and then they have their like bigger palettes, but 6 pans are a new format. So I do kind of like the covers of this one, but I do think insides these aren't maybe as exciting as I was maybe like hoping them to be based on just the inspiration of the collection. I think this is a Valentine's release, so this is Peau's Butterfly Kisses collection, and again, the packaging 10 out of 10, but I do think these are products that we have seen from the brand before. So there is I think there's a powder or foundation compact, and then we have 1 lipstick. Like maybe for I can get it as a Valentine's gift if you were like to splurge to a like luxury makeup lover. These could be nice, but just I think in terms of what is inside, we have seen this from Peau plenty of times. But the cover very pretty, though I do think we might have seen this kind of heart design from their previous Valentine's collection, so I'm a bit unsure that is this, like I would guess this is a new design, but I just think that somewhere in the background of my memory I kind of have the idea that maybe this sort of heart shape theme has been done in their Valentine's collections in previous years. Max Spring collection, I have to say, this is genuinely at least quite interesting, even though there is probably nothing in this that I'm gonna buy. So this is MAC's collection for spring, and this is called the Metamorphosis Face and like Metamorphosis, I think Metamorphosis Face and Eye Palette. Then we have the Maximal Silky Matte Lipsticks, Glow Play Tender Talk Lip Balm, Lip Pencil, Lip Glosses, and Prismatic Liquid Eyeliners. That's a lot. So the eyeshadow palette, I don't need this one. It doesn't have, like, how should I say, the colors aren't that interesting, but I do have to say the packaging design in this one, like, this reminds me a bit of the old MAC, because MAC's collections used to be quite interesting, especially the era when they were doing their Disney collection. Those were quite good ones. And I think there was a bit of a time when they, like, we weren't so excited about them, but I do think a couple of, like, I think during the last year some of their launches have been pretty interesting, and because MAC's pricing it's like the, what I would say, higher mid-range is how I would describe MAC's pricing. Usually that is the reason why I don't buy from MAC, because usually it's either that I can get a similar product with less money, or then I'll just spend the money to a more like luxury brand. So that is why usually MAC for me is something that I just skip. But as a collection design, even though perhaps the products inside not that exciting, I do have to say that this looks pretty nice. So kudos for MAC for at least the successful package design. Makeup by Mario has come out with some new products, like multi-use products. So this is the Cherry Char Lip and Cheek Multi-Use Balm. These are quite reddish leaning shades, and this is, as the name implies, you can use this to your lips or to your cheeks. I mean, I think this is okay, but I'm just wondering that, is it so that maybe Makeup by Mario has bit similar products in his line already? I think my issue with this one is that a lot of people, when they review these, they usually say that these either, like, there are some brands who are very good at doing these multi-use products, but I think this might be, again, one of those products that it's gonna work either to your lips or to your cheek better. It could be, like, maybe Makeup by Mario has nailed the formula and this truly does work both on your lips and cheeks, but usually why this sort of multi-use products, why there is some issues, because, for example, I think this looks to be a more fake glowier product, so in terms of lips this probably feels very nice, but then if it's this sort of glowier product, then my question is that, okay, but what, when you get it on your cheek, is it gonna be something that's gonna be like very sticky and it doesn't dry down, and then you have the issue that your hair is sticking to your cheek? So that is always my question mark with these kind of multi-use products, but for me, this is a skip purely because of the fact that Makeup by Mario is a harder brand for me to get, because it's not sold in our country, and there isn't actually a lot of retailers that do sell it here in Europe, so that is the reason why I'm skipping this one. But if you've been eyeing this sort of multi-use product from Makeup by Mario, I do think this is already available. Okay, then the sort of collection that I was having like 50-60 thoughts how I'm feeling about this one. So Oden's re-released their OG classic holiday palettes, but before you're saying that, okay, like what the like OG original palettes, they have released them in single format. So basically these OG holiday palettes that were the Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve palette that sort of like made Oden, I think that was the sort of collection that made us every year expect that, okay, what is Oden's coming out with this Christmas? So these were what started the trend, but these are now in singles, and because they are essentially, when you are buying these palettes, you are buying a like curated set of singles. So that is why these are more expensive than the original ones. They are, of course, justifying the higher price tag, aside from the fact that you are essentially buying a bundle of singles, for the fact that the formula of this one is better, that is much more upgraded and smoother. And I do have to say, especially the shimmers, now having watched quite many reviews and swatches of these new palettes, I can say that the shimmers are looking quite a lot sparklier than the original one, so I can kind of like get behind the updated formula. However, why I wasn't so like excited about this one is that this launched very close to Christmas. So this launched on the 20th of December, and because Oden's is a online based retailer, they, just like many other indie retailers, they don't have stands in like brick and mortar stores. So because they do ship from China, the fact that this was launched on 20th of September means that December, because these were launched on 20th of December, it basically means that no one was able to get this before the like holiday season. So if you did make the order on 20th of December, and from my experience, Oden's shipping is also not the fastest, it's like takes almost usually a couple of weeks for your stuff to come. So basically everyone who ordered this, they are not gonna get this until after the Christmas season is over, which kind of like then like of course you can wear the makeup like all this kind of makeup all around the year, but I do know that for many people, especially when you again look at the packaging design of these new single bundles and everything, this is the kind of thing that you would really want to like, you probably will gravitate mostly towards Christmas season. So with this one, I'm kind of like thinking that did they have some issue with the manufacturing or getting the like new like getting the new like magnetic palettes in, or was there some formulation issues with the single? Because I do think that if you are gonna launch especially this kind of product, that people have been very much asking this back. I think everyone every year in Oden's social media comments are saying that please bring back the OG Christmas palettes. So they did kind of really listen to their consumers, but my question is then that yeah, but I think your consumers would have liked to get this for Christmas, and because the only people who basically got this before Christmas are the influencers on their PR list, and that is kind of also where I'm gonna like I'm kind of going like that. Okay, so you gave your influencers the stuff, the influencers who don't have to pay anything to get this. You got this to them before the Christmas season, but to the customers who are paying this from their own wallet, they had to wait till 20th of December to order, and because your shipping isn't express shipping, it's gonna be way after Christmas that they're gonna receive this. So that is why like it's good that they listen to their customers, because these palettes are so loved. I'm not a fan of the fact that the price is much higher, because again, selling single bundles is much more expensive than selling pre-made palettes due to manufacturing differences in manufacturing cost. But I think this could have been done maybe a bit better in terms of the fact. But alas, if you did miss the original Christmas palettes, and also if you did buy the original Christmas like I did, buy the original Christmas palettes in their first launch, they are getting quite old. So I do think for a lot of people buying these could make sense even though they're more expensive, but unfortunately you are not gonna get this until after the Christmas due to the fact that they are shipping from China and they don't use particularly fast shipping from there. And then we have the last launch of the day, and oh dear, this is a lot. So Catrice's update for winter 2026, so their seasonal update is live, at least on Beauty Shop's website, and I do think you might be able to get this in Germany. I made the compilation myself, but these are not all the shades. I tried to like pick one shade per product, and this is probably not even all, because I do think just based on the videos that I've seen on social media and based on what was listed on Beauty Shop's website, I do think there were some products still like missing, but anyway. So first of all, some of these products were already available last year, so what Catrice did was quite interesting. They did launch this Era of Senses collection during the end of like, it was I think somewhere around October or November. So some of these products have been already on the market, and this was their sort of like preview of the whole collection. So first one in this sort of seasonal update are the Velvet Pudding Blurring Blushes, and these were something that at least 2 shades of these were available already during the sort of like pre-launch during this year. However, now there seems to be more shades, at least based on the listing on Beauty Shop's website. Then there is a tubing stay on place mascara, so this is in the shade brown. I do think the mascara might be a bit unsure, is that a line extension or a shade extension. Then we have one new of this sort of eyeshadow palette, so there's the Deep Velvet eyeshadow palette. This is something that I'm kind of eyeing, so this is already live on Beauty Shop's website. By the time this video goes live, I'm not going to guarantee that all of this is still in stock, because these updates do tend to sell out. This is something that I'm mildly eyeing, however, I made the decision because, again, in terms of December, my makeup budget is used up. I decided I'm not going to buy anything in the first launch. Then we have the Surf Blur Powder Blushes. I am wondering that is this gonna replace another powder blush in their line. There's quite a few shades to that one. These look to be quite basic powder blushes. Then there is a new pressed matte setting powder in the line. Again, I think this is a product that I don't know, is this something that's gonna be replacing another pressed powder in their line. Then there's the Sculpt and Charm Contour Sticks. I do believe they had stick blushes. They came out in their... was it on the like winter release last season? Like during winter season 2025, or was it on their like fall summer edit? But anyway, they have had like stick blushes in the same packaging. Now they extended to the like sculpting and bronzing shades. Then we have like 3 shades of like duochrome eyeshadows. It would be interesting to see how because these are more drugstore duochrome eyeshadows, I wouldn't expect miracles from these particular shades, but I would be interested to try one and see like how these compare to some other like duochromes that I have tried. Then there are lip liners, then there is a contouring palette, and unfortunately in terms of the contouring palette there seems to be only one shade at least so far available, so that is a bit dull considering that it's not gonna cater to all shade ranges. Then there seems to be More Than Glow liquid highlighter. The liquid highlighter is also something that I did look that seems to be something that I would like to try. We have a Lift and Laminate brow gel. Again, I do think this might be a brow gel replacing another brow gel in their line. Then there is a Lazy Day Hydra Serum Stick, so I think this is something that you could probably use as your like hydrating primer. Then there is seems to be a lot of eyeliners. There's Jewel Glide Effect eye pencils, which seem to be like more what I would say maybe like colorful ones. Then there is the sparkling Jelly Sparkly Balm is something that was available on the pre-launch already. And then there seems to be Glass Like Pearl Primer. Then we have these Glass Like Gloss Sticks. I'm thinking that these look a bit similar to the gloss sticks they already had in their launch during the spring, like summer-spring launch, but it could also be that these are the ones that were in the like previous launch. I think those had shimmer particles in them, and these look to be just like glowy lipsticks, so I think this is more of a line extension to that, but just like instead of sparkle, the formula in this one doesn't have sparkle. Then we got a range of new lip liners. Again, I think some of these lip liner shades were available on the pre-launch. And then we have the Filler Supreme lip glosses. I'm a bit unsure, are the glosses something that are these are called Filler Supreme lip glosses, so I'm kind of thinking that these might actually be something that have a bit of a plumping effect to them. So with these ones I would be a bit careful if you don't like their plumping lip glosses. Then there's the Extreme Blur Mattifying Primer. This again was available on the pre-launch. Then we have these Drunk Diamond Jelly Toppers. These again were, at least 2 shades were available on the pre-launch. Then there was the Diamond Haze Jelly Highlighter Stick. This was something that was available that had become available individually as a sort of preview for this collection. I think it came to stores just before Christmas season. Then we have a shade extension to the Daily Duo eyeshadows. I wasn't a fan of these ones. I didn't like basically the cream formula in this one caused the whole eyeshadow look to crease, so I would not recommend getting these. Then we have Catrice is doing their own variation of lip tint, so there is quite a few shades of those ones. Then there is a CC Skin Perfector, and what else? I think yeah, I think those are, and then there's the Orglam Bouncy Highlighter, so this again was something that was available in the pre-launch. Then we have 2 shades of this Blur Real Matte Lipstick, and again I'm thinking that is this so that we're only getting now a couple of shades in the first launch, and this is a line that they're gonna extend later, because it feels a bit funky that we only got like there's a new there's like new matte lipstick range, but we only get 2 shades, so I'm thinking that is probably gonna be something they're gonna extend later. What else? And then we are getting new single eyeshadows from them, and then there is a Aqua Splash Grip Fixing Spray, and then there is 2 variations of a concealer palettes. So that was a lot. As I said, there were a few things that I'm eyeing, but as I said, because I am a bit limited with my makeup budget during December, I think this is something that I'm gonna probably wait, and probably this is gonna restock. Like as I said on GlamShop's website, this is usually something that sells out during the initial launch quite quickly, so maybe when they do a second restock of this collection, then I might pick some items, but there wasn't anything like that I was in a super hurry to get, so I think that kind of tells that, yeah, there are a few interesting things, but nothing that I immediately need right now. Those were all the makeup releases that I had to discuss about. Comment down below what were your sort of favorites. I don't think for me there was that many standout releases. There was quite a lot of, as I said, this luxury brand spring releases, and usually I might pick up some individual items from those launches, but nothing that I want to like buy the whole collection of, and obviously because it would be pretty expensive to buy the whole collections. That is also the reason why I usually pick and choose. I think the channel like blush face palette, and then the Dior like minty silver liquid highlighter were the sort of standout items for me. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I'm gonna see you in that video. Bye bye!